That's no moon.
Hello there, and welcome to That's No Moon and Yavin Base presenting Pre-Worlds Chats. I'm joined by, well, I'm going to give a nickname from it. I'm just going to Mr. Hobby, Mr. Table, Mr. Table
Mr.
Man, the
Table,
man, the
Mr.
myth, the
Table
legend,
Man.
Mr. Table Man, Nick Bodnar. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm great. How are you? It's nice to
Um,
finally connect.
hey, look at
You
this.
know,
We
yep. We are,
exist.
we
It's
are, yeah. Same room. Here we are. We're
yeah.
together. Look,
And you know what's
our
even?
walls are the same color. You see that, right?
Yeah, man.
Like
And
we're probably in the same room. No one knows.
people,
No one
shh, don't give the
can't.
game away. Yes, but what will be fun is we will be in the same postcode, zip code in 2 weeks'
hmm
time. Three week, two, three, three, two,
About
two.
a little over 2 weeks.
Sorry, it's time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies. A couple of weeks' time, we'll both be in the same zip code at least, with
Mhm.
and then we can socialize and go, "Hey, dude, you exist in real life and actually like
Yay!
that sort of thing." But the reason we're here is to talk pre-world stuff. Now, obviously, we've spoken to many people. We've spoken to Luke. We've spoken to AJ. We've spoken to Bushman. Spoken to Kyle. He's spoken loads of people speaking to. But we're varying this out because I want to speak to the man who provides the tables, not necessarily over in Europe, because there is a bit of bit of body of water,
That's a little difficult, right?
small body of water. Although with the amount of tables you have, you might as well get yourself a tanker,
Right.
and you can just ship them over. That sort of thing.
Transportation's the problem.
Yeah,
That's always the problem.
eventually you can do your own Legion
That's
table
right.
transport business. That would be the way to go. Um, those people who don't know, what's your name? Where do you come from?
I'm Nick Bodnar. I am co-host of the Legion 99 podcast when most of the time. Uh, I am mostly known, though, I think, for my terrain, providing tables up and down the East Coast to larger events. I don't want to say up and down the East Coast. Like I bring them to Nova, PAX Unplugged. I did ACO for a few years. Local events in my general area. I'm in South Jersey, very close to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and where we throw batteries at Santa.
Heard.
I'm an
Isn't
Eagles fan.
Philadelphia? Isn't this Philadelphia is the city where you win the Super Bowl and then they go and trash the cars? They
That is absolutely, yes, that is what we do.
could not emulate body brotherly love more than I'm the city
No,
fan.
you can't. No, that's it. That is the definition. But yeah, I'm mostly known for my tables. I took it upon myself to just keep making tables all the time. Terrain. If you're watching, you can see behind me. There's a couple 3D printers. They're not on right now, but
Nice.
I've been doing 3D printing for about 5 years now. So 3D printing all the time turns into a lot of terrain. So I have currently like I own 32 Legion tables. They will all be at Adepticon. So
So I'm
uh
gonna lean into this in two conversations. I'm gonna lead the way with the hobby stuff first, and then we'll talk the game afterwards. What got you making things more? What
okay.
is that? Your background is that from what other war games where you've decided I want to make tables for my games? What led you to be Mr. Hobby?
X-Wing was my first game. Like a lot of people, probably half the Legion players, X-Wing's right. X-Wing's the gateway game. I went from X-Wing into like Imperial Assault, very small community. I was there the last couple of years. That's where I started painting. I decided like I played with some people that had painted minis, and I'm like, I'm gonna give that a shot because like gray plastic is boring. So whatever. Um, and I painted most of my Imperial Assault collection, and then Legion was announced at that Gen Con in 2017, and I was like, that's it. That's what I want to play
Yeah.
because I'd started to lose my love for X-Wing, and I started to like move into like there's a lot of like you get a lot of satisfaction after you paint a couple units and then you get to play them on the table. It's a lot more satisfying than just opening up a blister pack with an X-Wing in it and putting it on the stand, putting it on the table. Um so I didn't know I was like, gonna fall into that hobby rabbit hole, but I did. The terrain started with basically I was super excited for Legion. A couple of my buddies at our LGS were. We asked, you started to see like some 3D printing people back then, and 3D printing was, before the game came out, was difficult and not very easy to get into at all. I asked the owner of our LGS, not the owner, the manager. I was like, "Hey, are we going to get any like cool Legion terrain?" And he's like, "Probably not unless the game really takes off." And I was like, Fair enough. So I took it upon myself to like scratch make some stuff. Like I had like a little Endor table that was mostly scratch made. So I had like the big shipping tube trees and some homemade rocks out of foam, stuff like that. I bought a bunker online, so it looked like Endor. It was really cool. Uh couple couple poorly made scratch made tables later, I got my first 3D printer and I just kind of went at it. COVID happened, couldn't play much. I don't love TTS. I do have it. I do play it occasionally still. I really went down the hobby rabbit hole then. I got a second 3D printer during COVID. Um, Fast forward like 8 months, and I took all of the terrain out of the totes that I owned, like all of it, and put it on a table, like my big like six what is it, 8x4 table in my
Yep.
basement, stacked it up on top of containers, and I'm like, I sent Mike a picture of it, and I'm like, I feel like this is probably like 6 or 8 tables.
Yep.
And yeah, he was like, yeah, definitely. Kept going. First ACO came around, I was offered the TO gig, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. I was like, I can probably come up with 16 tables, and I think I had like 12 or 13 of my own. Borrowed a couple from Mike and Ryan Slowoski from the Stabcast. Shout out
Yep.
to him.
Big
Um,
love to Stabcast.
yeah, yeah, great group of guys. Terrible Legion players, but what can you do?
Hey,
Um,
that's my wheelhouse. That's my
I'm not very good either. I have like flashes of genius every once in a
Mate,
while, right?
all the cool kids who love Legion aren't very good at
Yeah,
it. That's it.
every once in a while you like you just get lucky and you win a tournament with Lando. So, uh, but yeah, fast forward like 8 months, I have like 13, 14 tables, and then I just kept going. I was like, well, I've got this many. Like, what if I can next year I want to provide all of the tables for ACO? And then it was like, gave some to FLG. FLG has like 6 or 7 of my tables. And yeah, I mean, I'm still like, I'm between projects right now with 3D printing, but still making stuff. Uh it's addicting. Like
Yeah.
the creators out there release new stuff and I just want it, and then like it just keeps piling up. So, but yeah, I pride myself in like I've never, if you come to one of my tournaments, you're not ever going to be playing on like gray plastic terrain. Like it's going to be fully painted, fully hobbied.
Nice.
You're going to that's kind of always been my goal. And since then, like the community's really stepped up. I scroll through Facebook and I'm in all the Legion groups and everything, and I see so many communities out there just like knocking it out of the park. So many awesome tables. Like we see it everywhere now. It's great. Like
Yeah.
it's come so far. So
I found that in the UK, particularly in the early days of Legion, the UK table scene in terms of its terrain was somewhat lacking. But as time has gone on, people have massively stepped up
yep.
their game. Even I've had a go. I mean,
I mean, I've seen some great tables at those UK tournaments you guys
yeah,
have
we've had some
out
really,
there
really good
in
ones. The
Germany and
ones,
stuff. Yep.
yeah, some of the ones I've seen, some of my favorite ones were in Germany. Some of the Germans, some of their stuff is brilliant as well. But when you're thinking, I'm going to make a table, how do you come up with the idea? Do you just go Star Wars planet? How does that work? Concept done, or how do
Sort
you
of.
formulate your idea?
It's usually like I'll sometimes it's different. It's different each time, but most of the time it's like I'll see like some terrain I don't have yet, and I'll be like, how can I fit that into a new table? And at this point, like the collection of STLs I have is like gigs and gigs and gigs and gigs on a portable hard drive. Um, and I'll now at this point, like I will, like I did a new Geonosis table. That was the last one I finished. Because like my buddy at the LGS was like, oh, we need a new Geonosis table with like height 3 terrain, and I'm like, yep, let's do that. I was like, we can do that. So like I remembered another local of mine. He had printed like some really like large pieces from a designer that I wasn't as familiar with. And I messaged him. I'm like, hey, where'd you get these pieces for your Geonosis table? And he told me. And then it turned out that like my buddy Corey from the Inglorious Blasters, you probably heard of them. Um, I was at a tournament a month ago that he was running, and I played on it on his, and I had it printed, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home and paint that now. So like I painted that the following week. Um, but yeah, so it's like I wanted to do another Geonosis table. I found some, I wanted the height 3 stuff, height 2, height 3 stuff, and went for it. That's kind of where we're at now, right?
Do
Uh
you do
Go
you
ahead.
reckon you'll try the Genosian Colosseum?
No. I mean, if somebody released like something that was like printable, like maybe. I'm a wild guy. Like I printed some like truly silly stuff. Like there's like an Etsy store that had like a set of Scarif terrain, and it's got a bunker. And the bunker is literally like it fills almost like a third of the board. I
Yep.
printed that because it was so cool. And like we tried to play on it a few times and it's just like impossible. But
Yeah.
it's like it took like weeks to print, like on two printers. It took like weeks to print. It was just it looks cool, but it's like it's out there, it's wild. The Coliseum might be a little more doable. Like you could put some like, you know,
Do the whole
you wouldn't
table.
want yeah,
Do the
you
whole
know,
table, then put the stuff in the middle.
yeah. It would be cool to see. Those tables are always cool to see. Like the Ewok Village tables from Imperial Terrain. That stuff's great. It looks so cool, but like I kind of always get like complaints.
No, it's all right. It's fine.
I kind of always sorry. I kind
No.
of always get complaints about it. People are like, it's gorgeous, but I don't want to play on it again."
It sounds about right.
Yeah,
I
but
think a lot of
yeah,
Ewok village tables get that, to be fair.
yeah.
The one that sticks in my head in terms of wow, that looked really good into but horrible to play on is in Germany. Someone made the Camino platforms, but obviously, and then they were suspended on the columns.
It's,
Now, so that made the thing that's like, well, if you have, but then there are big blank bits.
yeah,
So if you were deployed there, it was like, well, I'm never getting up there from there. And I actually remember Lucas Hustic was due to play, and he got drawn against Johannes, and it was game five of a six-game tournament. So it's quite important. And they got drawn on that table, and they went to Finn and went, "Yeah, can we not play on that table? No, no, not this important game." And Finn acquiesced.
yeah. I
Fine.
think I have those files as well, but I never printed them. I wasn't brave enough. It was like
No.
maybe one day, maybe now. Like what can it hurt?
With
Maybe I'll put it in a big 6x3 fish tank and like we'll put like water in it so it's
do it.
like real Camino, right?
Oh, you can do that, and then you can resin some stuff at the
Yeah,
bottom. Like,
resin, yeah, whatever.
ooh. Mate, I'm sending that's a challenge. I want you to accept. Um, other things in terms of tables with the game moving on now, it seems like obviously with Geonosians coming out and things that now a unit that requires height to basically trigger its gimmick, if you will, that sort of thing, for a better word.
Right.
Do you think that we will see more height variances? I don't know. Do you think we'll see much more varied types of tables going forward now? Because we have seen lots of things that are very either up to height one, and then that's about it. And there's not a lot of bravery in terms of, well, I make height two and that sort of thing. So what do you think do you think that the game's changing and therefore will make tables change? What do you reckon?
So I mean, I don't think it's gonna like be like I think people who make tables like have who have Geonosians or like they play with Geonosians a lot, they're probably gonna try and factor stuff like that in, right? Like like I just did with that Geonosis table. But like the truth of the matter is, it's like it's very hard to transport like very large pieces of terrain generally. It becomes difficult to transport. Um, if you don't set the table up correctly, it can be a headache to play on. Things like that. I do love seeing like unique tables. I like seeing things that are different. It's like I get inspired too. Like I get inspired by other people's tables all the time. I'm like, yeah, I want that now. Like, and that's where the Evan calls it like the brain parasite or something like that, that like causes me to keep making terrain. So like, yeah, the brain parasite in my head is like always like I see something cool and I'm like a kid in the toy store. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to have that. Dad, can I get that? It's
You
like,
mean,
yep,
yeah.
that's how it is.
Here's one for you. Uh, you might be familiar that there is a cross-Atlantic debate about tables and how they should be and how their construction. What do you see as the perfect or the best um, layout of a table? How are we talking in terms of line of sight blockers in middles, ends? What do you think? Because it's a game, it's subjective. So what
Right.
do you think is an optimal layout?
I I like to personally like when I
Yeah,
lay out when I set up all my tables, I like them all to like have a little bit of differences. Sometimes I put a line of sight blocking piece in the middle, or like, probably not much higher than like a trooper silhouette in height. But because like you don't want I don't like such everybody play like competitively, like everybody plays KP all the time, right? KP intercept, like those are played so much, and like if you just put like a building in the center of the table, that's the KP, and that it's fine that that's KP, but then like you have these situations where people don't interact for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like they just figure out like where's the best way for me to funnel my army over here.
Yep.
And if we're like, if they have more activations than you, yeah, they're just gonna like try and hide the whole game and make you come to them. So you're not gonna see a ton of those on the tables I set up at Worlds. You're not gonna see a ton of like line of sight blockers in the middle. You'll probably see some area terrain, like crash ship, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like keep it interesting. Uh, I like to keep the line of sight blockers in positions where like you can hide in a deployment, like you can start in a deployment zone and not just get shot off the table immediately. There's definitely like my tables have always kind of leaned to be denser for the most part. I still have
yeah,
a few tables that are lighter, depending on the theme, because like I still try to like make a table feel thematic. Like I want you to look at a table and be like, that is Moss Eisley. Like that is Mos Eisley, like very clearly, and that is the Junlin Wastes. They're
yeah.
very different tables, so they
Yeah,
should
I
feel
don't.
different.
Are you familiar? Obviously, you might watch some battle reports and things from various content creators online. One particular content creator is Play on Tabletop, and they've done some Legion stuff. And but to be fair, they do loads of other games as well. But their tables always seem on point. I don't know if you've ever watched them, but I recommend them to anyone listening.
I've
I've,
seen it in my feed. I don't think I don't get enough time to watch
No,
everything.
no, it's fair.
I
Some
wish
of
I
their
did. Yeah.
some of their tables, if anyone's ever interested, have a look at Play on Tabletop. Some of their tables are truly gorgeous. A lot of effort goes in. They even do effects, obviously with the battle robot. They put smoke in and smoke pops out. It's really cool. Um, moving away from hobbying into a bit of games now. Um, if you were playing, what would you be wanting to run?
A month ago, I was planning to play. I have an invite. I decided to jump on the staff side of things, so you'll see me there judging harshly. I hope. Uh, I would definitely be playing Rebels or Geonosians.
Nice, nice.
So I'm a Rebel player at heart. I have a hard time kicking that away in terms of like even when
Street
yep
Troopers.
he's fleet, I probably wouldn't be running fleet troopers. But I'm really having fun playing the Genosians. I haven't figured them out yet, so it's probably good that like I'm not playing
Yep,
and planning to play them at Worlds. Uh, I would probably be playing Bright Tree Village honestly because I feel like that's probably the most straightforward. Now I don't want to say straightforward, but I think it's like the most competitive thing that Rebels can play right now
yep,
that doesn't include a Force user, um, or is Cassian K2 stuff
yep.
like that. It has a lot of tricks and like the activation advantage you get in most games is huge. Like you're going to be playing against Gar players that have 8 activations and you have 13 or 14. So you're going to get to go with half your army after they activate.
100%.
So,
That's where Antoine from France, when he won, where his team
oh yeah.
France won the World Team Championships, he had the 14 Ewok list,
Mm-hmm.
which is just crazy, crazy face.
Oh
But
yeah. One of my buddies has been playing and he's been doing pretty well.
there you go.
So yeah.
I think it'll
I
make a
think
splash. And on that note, what do you think is going to be the best performing archetype? Is it going to be the clones Yoda stuff? Is it going to be the Fury Road stuff? Is it going to be the experimental droids? What do you think is probably going to be most successful? Not outright winner, but which do you think is probably going to be like generate the most of the top 16, top eight?
I mean, I think like you talk about like we'll say I guess like day 2 is top 32, correct? Or is it 64 in day 2? I can't remember if it's 32. It's 64, I think.
I think it's 64.
Yeah, I would think that it's going to be heavily populated by Republic.
Yep.
I would think almost like I would I would I would wager that like 2/3 of it is going to be Empire and Republic. I'm just gonna put I just I think they'll be the best performing droid lists are probably going to be experimental droids.
Yep.
There's a lot there. The BX is hit super hard.
Yep.
Uh I I mean Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any like huge surprises. I don't think Inquisitors are going to make as much of a splash as
Neither
we
do I.
think. I think that people are nervous that like they're not going to be able to get them like in time because they did get pushed back to I guess like next Friday. So I think people are probably afraid like if my shipment doesn't come in by like Monday morning, like I'm not going to have time to paint this and pack it,
Yep.
So, we'll see. I think that like Republics, uh, they, the, Anakin and Yoda are proven, and like now after LVO, like people are experimenting with Obi-Wan. Like we had a 12-player tournament at my LGS, and there was somebody brought in the same list. Like he brought the Obi-Wan list from LVO.
My
He was
guy.
like,
That's my guy.
yeah, it's I just feel like I don't know. Probably Republic going to be the highest represented in each advancement. I think we'll see top four. It's going to be like that's skill based at a certain point. That day two is going to be like tough.
I'm not. I'm not going to get into pin names. Say he or she's going to win outright. But is there anyone you would like? Anyone you think you're expecting? Yeah, they'll be top 16. They will be there. Are
uh,
you just any
it's
usual
so
names?
hard this year with no like. There's going to be like elite level players that like lose that first round on Friday
Yep.
and are going to be out. Like somebody you expected to see day two or even day three, and they're out immediately. You're gonna like walk up to him and be like, "Oh, how'd your game go? I lost," and you're just gonna be like, "Shit." Luke Cook lost round one on Friday last year.
He did. And then, well, it worked out well for him. He's obviously he may be going for the three-peat, so that works out. But it'll all work out quite well. Couple more, two more questions. Well, three more questions. Your favorite non-in-game moment within Legion?
Hanging out with everybody, meeting all the people I like last year at Worlds. I met so many people that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't gone. Everybody's going to Worlds,
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Uh, the penultimate question. This one always stumps people, but it's quite fun. Fun fact about you that people might not know, but is like something they go, "Oh, that's cool. That's interesting."
um, I don't know. I mean, like Legion has kind of like been most of my life for the last couple of years, so uh nothing that interesting.
I tell you what, I'll give you some fun ones that you might not have seen it. So one person sang for the Queen over here. Another person played tight end at football. So yeah, that sort of thing. Another person was nearly uh, Oliver in the West End in London. So yeah, it was all intro. Now, these are fun little facts. I thought that I'd just chuck them out there for people. And the final question is, it's not really a question, the final thing. Would you like to put some shout outs for your friendly local game store and any
Oh, definitely.
individuals or collections of people you'd
Definitely.
like to say hello to?
So big shout out to my co-host at Legion 99, obviously. Uh Mike and whoever he's rounded up the last few episodes. My buddy Rich, my buddy Pat, mostly, I think. And shout out to everybody who plays at my local game store, Top Tech, home of the Jersey Womp Rats.
Jersey Womp Rats.
That's a first you're hearing that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's new.
Oh, I like an exclusive.
Jersey
That's quite
Womp
good.
Rats. You're gonna get to meet some of them. I've got like six of my local players are going to Worlds, so that's
I
you're
look
gonna get
forward
to
to
meet
that.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
I
won't
look
have our
forward.
uniforms yet, but in spirit, we're the Womp Rats.
The uniforms all up here. You can look at each other
Right,
and be part of each other.
right.
That works out. Nick, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very
Yep.
much. I look forward to seeing you in Worlds. And for everyone else who has just been watching, this was Nick, Mr. Table, and
Mr. Table.
you can come and check out his stuff via Legion 99 on their Discord and or no, excuse me, their Instagram and Facebook because there's pictures always up there. So yeah, thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
That's no moon.